If you're an entrepreneur living in South Africa in 2022 and you are between the ages of 18 and 35 and you've never, ever heard about NYDA, then this video is for you. Hello, friends and family. My name is Luphumlo Joka. I'm an entrepreneur. Started my own business about almost a decade ago. Hey, it's been quite some time. And I have had the privilege of working with a number of SMMEs. I've worked with a number of bigger organizations. I do a lot of leadership and business development work. And I thought it would be great for us to do a video and just talk to some of you guys about how you can access the grant offerings from the National Youth Development Agency. Now, I'm going to be talking to you about a couple of things. I want to talk to you about what NYDA is, why people don't get funding from the NYDA, the application process of the NYDA, and my experience as someone who has received close to 150,000 rands from the NYDA in the past 5 years or so, and some of the deal breakers. Hopefully this will be beneficial to you. If you find this content valuable, please remember to subscribe and to leave us a review and to recommend this content to someone that you know that might want to go and apply at the National Youth Development Agency. Now, let's start with exactly what the NYDA is. I'm not going to go into exactly, I mean, you can always go on their website and have a look at the other information, but I think the most important information here is if you're an entrepreneur and you are a young person and you need access to grant finance. Now, there's a difference between grant funding and loan funding. I know all of us know that. But if you need access to grant finance in South Africa and you're a young person, this is the ultimate organization to go to. Now, there are pros and cons. I'll talk about those a bit later on. But basically, what the NYDA offers, they've got 4 thresholds of funding. 4 thresholds of funding. Threshold number 1 would be for informal traders that that need assistance valued between 1,000 and 10,000 rand. So let's say if you're someone that cuts grass and you need machinery and you're not registered and all of that, so that's where you'd fit. Threshold 2 would be for the more formalized entrepreneurs that are looking for anything between, I think, 10,000 rand and 50,000 rand. Threshold 3 would be for returning entrepreneurs. So if you've applied for threshold 2 and you're still between the ages of 18 and 35, and if you go back, then you would apply for threshold 3. So that would be anything from 50 to 100. And I've received funding from threshold 2 and from threshold 3. So many years ago, they funded me about close to 30,000 rand. And just this year, they funded me about 100,000 rands. And I want to talk to you about the process and what you can expect as someone who has applied or who wants to apply it. So why do a lot of entrepreneurs, or why do people don't get funding? Why do they get rejected? Maybe that's not the right question, but why don't they get funding from NYDA? There are 3 things I just want you to remember. Number 1 is compliance. A lot of people struggle with compliance. They only think of getting their compliance in their businesses in place only when they're about to apply for whatever funding. Doesn't have to be NYDA, it can be any other funding. And that's not a good way to run a business, especially if you're running a formal enterprise. What you'd want to do is to make sure that all of your things are always in order, just in case something pops up, because there are always opportunities and fundings that are always popping up in South Africa. So make sure that your compliance is always in place. Number 2, patience. A lot of entrepreneurs don't have patience. They're not patient with the process. They're not patient with the people that are sitting on the other side, you know, and they're just not patient, and they want the funding now. And if you're going to be dealing with government and asking for funding from government, you have to be a patient person, because chances are if you apply this year and you get approved this year, you might get your stuff 6 or 7 months later, which is the case for me. And people skills. Thirdly, people skills. You must be a person that has people skills. You must be able to deal or talk or relate to the other person that is sitting on the other side of the table. What does that mean? That means that if you have applied for funding and your documents go missing, which sometimes happens, or whatever happens, remember that you are the person looking for the funding. It's not the other way around. It's not the NYDA official that wants the funding. You are the person that looks for funding. So it becomes your responsibility to make sure that you look at how you speak to people, how you treat people, and how you complain if you're going to be complaining. Okay, I think those three things are important. Let's look at the application process and the procedure. Now, the one of the most interesting things that has happened, I think, in the past 2 years is that the National Youth Development Agency has moved some of their stuff, or they've transitioned from accepting manual applications. I'm not sure if they do accept them anymore, but I know that in Port Elizabeth, they don't accept manual applications. At times, they want people to submit their applications online. That can be good or bad, but I think if you're an entrepreneur looking for funding, go out and look out for the ERP system or the ERP portal, and I'll put a link in the description. So the application process, so some of the most important things is you must apply 3 months before you turn 35. So because it caters for people between ages of 18 and 35, 3 months before you turn 35 would be the cutoff date. Submissions of all required documentation. Obviously, make sure that all of your documents, including your business plans, your business profiles, your compliance, your quotations. So what usually happens is they'll ask for 3 quotations for each item that you are looking for. So like me, if you're looking for laptops and printers, I had to go and get about 3 quotations for each laptop, okay? And even from those suppliers, the other important thing is they'll want the bank confirmation letters from those suppliers that you want them to buy from. And you'd struggle a lot if you are buying from your bigger companies. So it's always good for you to go for smaller SMMEs or for smaller businesses around where you stay, because those type of businesses are always willing to give you the necessary documentation, and you don't have to go through a whole process for doing that. Proof of attending business management training. So this is a big one because a lot of people struggle with this, because before you can apply, you must attend that NYDA 5-day business training course. Now, here's the thing. NYDA has a huge backlog across the country. I know of hundreds and hundreds of people that wait months and months and months before they are called for that thing. So we innovated and we've offered that training on our online platform for free for some people, and there are people that have been approved for funding through our training as global leadership consultants. But currently we're building a new platform, which I'm excited about, which I'll talk to. Maybe we'll make another video about that later on. It's going to be called, or it's called GLC University, where you can go and do that training for free and take that certificate and go to NYDA. But if you've got a qualification and you've done business management or a course in entrepreneurship, that will also do. And in some parts, you have to go and do a 10-minute pitch. I didn't do that in both instances where I was funded, but I know of some people that have been called to come and do a 10-minute pitch. Due diligence assessment conducted by NYDA. Obviously, when you apply, an NYDA official, once your application starts moving forward, they'll come and they'll have a look at where you're operating from and all of that. They'll do their due diligence. That's important. Credit checks. This is an important one because as an entrepreneur, especially if you are looking to get funding from government, not only NYDA, if you want to borrow money from government, this is something that you have to get right. So they will flag you if you owe a Truworths or a Markhams, or if your accounts are not up to date. So what I would advise, or what I always advise people, is pay whatever amount of money that you can afford to pay. And then once you apply, you can always produce a receipt, and keep the receipts so that you can produce a receipt that says, I am trying to deal with this debt that I have. And then disbursements must be within 30 working days. That's what their website says. it is never like that, not in my experience. And I'll tell you a bit about my story as well. So I'm not going to talk about the first time I applied, but I recently applied last year, 2021. I applied for 100,000 rands. Obviously, when you apply at NYDA, you don't apply for, it's not like 100,000 rand in your bank account. It's goods and equipment that are valued at 100,000 rand. So they pay the suppliers and then you go and collect from the suppliers. I applied 16th of June, 2021. I put in a whole nice file of my things. And then when I followed up 3 months later, the office said, the NYDA office in Port Elizabeth said that, they changed the system. They thought that someone got in touch with me to go and apply online. It didn't happen, but anyway. So I went and reapplied around August 2021, was approved around January. I signed my agreement letter around January, but it's supposed to take them 30 working days to pay it out. But guess what happened? They took 6 months to pay out the things. So I had to go and collect from the suppliers around June. But here's the thing, guys. I've got my stuff. I've got my laptops. I've got my printer. And that's all as a result of being patient. That's why patience is important. Because yes, government is slow and government officials sometimes are incompetent and all of that. But you are the person, and this is my perspective, I need the assistance. I need the help. So I'm going to do whatever is within my power to make sure that I get this thing, of what I'm looking for. So that's my experience. So what are some of the deal breakers? So if you're going to have to think about some of the things that are deal breakers, you have to consider one or two, in fact, quite a few, and these are some of them. So if your annual turnover is over 750K, then you don't qualify. So if your business is making over 750K, then you don't qualify. I just had a client now that's running a beautiful early childhood development center, and the annual turnover is way over 1 million, and they got rejected because of that. If you've received development finance from any South African institution from the government that is above 500,000 rands, then you don't qualify. If you want to buy second-hand equipment, then you don't qualify. If you're in the business of alcohol, if that's your primary income generator, like taverns and stuff like that, then you don't qualify. Tobacco as a primary income generator, then you don't qualify. An investment trust or venture capital or private equity funds, they don't qualify. If you require finance to substitute an existing financier, then you don't qualify. And an individual or business shall not receive a cumulative grant amount above 200,000 rand, English. So what that means is if you're like me and you've gone back a couple of times to NYDA, then you cannot exceed the amount of 200,000 rand in your lifetime as a business. So what's my advice to you? Number one, apply and forget. Don't take these things lightly, apply and forget. Do your work. Make sure your compliance is in order. Run your business like a well-oiled machine, even when you're starting. Don't postpone excellence. Do not postpone running your business in an excellent way to when you have money or whatever the case is. So apply and forget. Put in your application, submit your things, but don't bank on that, build your business. Don't build your business on the promise of a funding institution. Build your business on selling. Build your business on your clients. That's the most important thing. Number two, always have your documents in order. And I think I just said that. Always have your documents in order, because you never know what opportunity will arise from where. So make sure that your documents are always in order. Your tax, your triple BE, your CSD, your share certificates, your UIF, all of these things that you need. And maybe we'll do another video about what some of those things are at a later stage. And lastly, take advantage of money that you don't have to pay back. It's a grant, guys. It's a grant. So what it means that government is saying we believe in small businesses, we believe in youth entrepreneurship, and we are putting our money where our mouth is, and you guys don't have to pay us back. You know, I wrote my first book, The Ultimate Leader Shift, from a laptop that I got from the National Youth Development Agency. And that book went on to make me hundreds and hundreds of thousands through the deals that I got from the book over the past 3 years or so. So money that you don't have to pay back is always good money as an entrepreneur. You know, so what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? So I've had quite a negative, sour experience, but at the end of the day, when I look back now, I think it was worth it, because it's not like there was anyone that was just going to give me 120,000 rands, no strings attached. So I'm grateful to NYDA, grateful to the government, and hoping that you guys will go out and go and apply, build your businesses, build your empires, and make sure that you are leaving a positive legacy for the people that will be coming after you. My name is Luphumlo Joka. Thank you for watching.